Welcome to the October 15th, 2019 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Fakafon.
And I am back from my duties that took me elsewhere.
And Fakafon's also back.
Yeah, I didn't have any duties really, but you know.
Yeah, and I never left.
You should have more fiber.
Oh God.
No,
Great. Good start, guys.
More like a shitty start.
What a load of crap.
Hey.
Already scatological. Anyway, I actually had a really good time in Boston. Yeah, I've been jet setting, as it were. So
You know what? If you ever make Boston in a video game, it should be a town with only bosses. Boss Town.
Ooh.
Oh man,
It'd be
we
great.
should do that.
Actually,
should
you should
have-
make it with only people who deal with the wine cellar, because I think, for real, its older name was Buttlestone, and it's been shortened to Boston.
Buttlestone? That
Yeah,
is the most adorable
like,
thing I've ever heard.
3 Buttlesworth.
Wait, it's like going to has been shortened to Gunna. Like, that's what happened to Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I actually, while I was in Boston, I did a couple nerdy things, and one of them was that we went to a video game bar, or a barcade, if you will,
I won't.
and it was it was pretty cool. It was called Versus, and they had pinball on free play, which was really cool, and newer
sweet.
pinball tables. Like they had like the Munsters machine, which is pretty cool, which is like a brand new cabinet. It came out like only a couple months ago.
Hey, do you remember the
Nice.
lyrics to the opening theme?
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, that's
dun.
pretty much it. There's no lyrics. I wanted to see if anybody would like fall for it. But guess not.
There was a Fallout Boy song that did add lyrics to it, but you know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, actually, it's one of their newer songs. It only came out like a little while ago.
That's unreal.
It's the Munsters theme. It literally is the Munsters theme with lyrics put to it.
I do kind of like though when bands do that, where they take some little
It's pretty good.
ditty and put like, or like when I think it was like Ailstorm did the "You Are a Pirate" song from Lazy Town. It's like, that's funny.
But anyway, yar har fiddly.
I think it was
love that.
Ailstorm, but if not, then somebody definitely covered that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I mean, Kesha has like that song that's basically like that. There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance song, but with different lyrics to it.
Jeez.
Well, that's
and
interesting.
Rihanna has basically the Numa Numa song, but in English.
I don't know if you could do any better than the original Numa Numa song though.
Yeah, I don't know. Even
It's a
that's a
quick
remake.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's a remake of another foreign band song.
Okay.
So. Maria hee. But
Right.
anyway, we have a show to do.
Oh, that's what we're
Oh
doing.
my
Ah,
god, we're on the
shit.
air. Oh crap.
Yeah, the air.
We're
Yeah.
on it. On the air?
Fuck it, we'll do it
Files
live.
are on the
Fuck
air. Yeah, we'll do it live.
Thing's a piece of shit.
Where's my snare? There's no snare in these headphones.
What a fucking baby. Like that. Oh man, Bill O'Reilly. Goddamn, what a fucking baby.
Did
anyway,
he get arrested or something like that?
he
Sued, I
was a
believe.
victim of the Me Too movement. And well, not really a victim. He
Yeah,
deserved it.
He was a fucking offender who was outed. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I
gotcha.
shouldn't say victim.
to the surprise of few, I'm sure.
Who the
well,
fuck
he-
would be
he was-
surprised?
He already had a long history of like misconduct and like settling out of court for
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and like more people came forward, so more women came forward, so he can rest in hell. Anyway. I do want to get going here because we do have some really big details, including PS5 news. So this is pretty cool. Have you guys been following this at all?
The only thing I've
Honestly,
heard,
no.
Well, the only thing
Yeah.
I've heard recently is that it may, like, I think this is a rumor still, but it may have backwards compatibility, but kind of spotty, like the Xbox One did.
No, they've confirmed it, but I don't know the details. Like, I didn't hear spotty. That's the first time I'm
like
hearing
the
that.
only thing I'd heard was that like it's gonna be like not every game, like maybe it'll get more backwards compatibility as it goes, like the Xbox One, but I don't think it's gonna be every single game.
Huh.
I just
didn't hear
hope that
that.
it takes PS4 discs, because if it does, then the
It
PS4
does.
Pro will be like completely redundant.
They confirmed that. And they also confirmed HD Ultra Blu-ray.
Yeah, I guess that shouldn't be a surprise. The Xbox One has it, and then the next PlayStation console doesn't. It's like,
Yeah,
really?
but the PlayStation Pro doesn't have it, so it was kind of a
Well, that's the
concern.
thing, though. It's kind of a black mark. It's like doubling down on that would be a little bizarre.
Yeah, I guess they figured that like nobody would want it, but I want it. So like
I mean,
I
like,
was actually thinking about buying an Xbox One S up until this point. So
like I don't care. I only have up to 1080, but just the possibility is nice.
well, me and my fiance have a 4K TV, and we've been wanting to like use it to its full ability. There isn't much 4K content out quite yet, so that would be something that we would want, especially like some really nice animated movies and things like that will show up really well. But yeah, that there we have that. Games can be custom installed. Let me see here. DualShock 5 is probably the biggest news that I heard. It will have adaptive triggers and haptic feedback on the triggers.
Haptic?
Which is really, yeah. So meaning, if you pull the trigger, it will have like force feedback in the trigger. Like it will have resistance, and it will like push your finger forward after you pull it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And it will be USB-C and a bigger battery. So it'll be a little heavier, but not as heavy as an Xbox One controller, apparently. So
That will always be the comparison, huh?
Yeah.
well,
That- the bulkiest controller ever made.
Well, no, well, they're talking about the current Xbox One controller, which is actually quite nice. Quite nice. No, we're not talking about the Duke, like the original Xbox.
That thing is ridiculous.
Controller. No, nobody's making another controller that looks like the Duke ever again. Though they did reissue it pretty recently, so. But some people fondly remember it. I do not. Even back then, it was like one of the major like things that you could make fun of the console for. And then like when they upgraded the controllers to be more form-fitting, everybody switched over to them. Everybody did.
Yeah, I actually don't remember hearing. What were you saying, Fakafon?
I have like really tiny fingers, so that controller was hell for me.
Yeah.
It was hell for a lot of people.
I don't remember hearing much about that controller, like, at the time. The main thing I remember was all the memes about how the system itself weighs, like, 10,000 pounds.
Oh,
There were all those, like,
definitely
images
heavy.
online of, like, you know, those, like, world's strongest, like, strongman competitions, and someone photoshopped the guy holding an original Xbox going, like, like, exerting all this effort. It was super funny.
Yeah, so let's see what else. There's going to be ray tracing on a hardware level, which is an advanced technique used for lighting. So that's definitely a really cool thing.
I'm trying to remember what ray tracing is, because I learned that when I was at college studying 3D, but I can't remember.
Well, you know what stuff like this just makes me think of
What?
is like launch titles for the system. You know how those games are usually like all right, but they're more tech demos than anything else. Like the Order 1886 was like the most gorgeous game, but it was like very short and repetitive. Or like Resogun, it's a pretty cool game, but like whoa, those particles! Like I wonder what the PS5's launch games are going to be that are like ray tracing. Like it's the most mind-boggling thing, but the game's like all right.
It kind of reminds me, they did the same thing with Final Fantasy VII, where it was one of the first games. So the game was made to look gorgeous. Like they had the summons, they had all the special effects. It was crazy.
The CG cutscenes. It was like especially for a Final Fantasy game, which was established as being 2D sprites. Like that was an insane change.
Yeah.
I think like the big ray tracing demo going around right now is like somebody made like a ray traced. Like an official release of a ray tracing version of Quake 2, just like as a demo to show off what ray tracing can do, and that's free for people that already own Quake 2 on Steam right now. But your graphics card has to be capable of it, and I have a really great graphics card in my tower right now, and even that can't do it. It's like you need something from the 2000 series in the NVIDIA 2000 series, and I don't have it. I have an NVIDIA 1080 Ti, which is an amazing card by today's standards, but it doesn't have ray tracing, so it kind of stinks. I can't even play Quake 2.
Jeez.
But that's kind of funny. But let me see what else. So Bluepoint Software is confirmed working on a big game for PS5, whatever the hell that means, a big game.
Well, what has Bluepoint done?
I am getting to that. Thank you very much. No, they're...
Oh, my.
What has Bluepoint done?
Thank you very much. Anyway,
I have a question. All right, go ahead.
They are most famous for their like HD ports of a lot of games. So they did the Shadow of Colossus port to PS4.
That wasn't really a port, was it? That was like a remake.
No, the remake was the PS3 one. The port was the PS4 one.
Well, no, like an HD remaster was the PS3 one, but the PS4 one looked like they built the game up from the ground up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've specialized in importing games up, I guess you could say. So another thing that they did was the Uncharted collection 1 through 3 for PS4.
Okay, yeah, that was HD remaster for sure. And
Gravity
that was
Rush
pretty nice.
For PS4 because it used to be a Vita game.
Yeah, Vita only, and Uncharted only used to be like 720p as well, like Uncharted 1 and 2.
Yeah,
that's true.
And they did Metal Gear Solid HD collection when that came out.
Sweet.
Oh, that. Wow.
Yeah. So they did a lot of work for Peace Walker, especially, and Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3.
They did a really good job with those too, because I played all three of those on the HD collection. It was excellent.
Yeah, that was a great. That was a really great collection, and they did a really good job porting it over, if you ask me.
One thing, it's a shame they didn't have I forgot what they were called, like the Secret Theater or whatever for Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh, yeah.
It was like those extremely stupid bloopers, because those are funny as hell.
Yeah, that's a shame that stuff didn't get ported. But,
like Ape Escape, I understand it's a rights thing, too bad. But you can't get the Secret Theater.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. Maybe it was something that Kojima didn't want to do. I don't know, but they got most of the special features though. They included Metal Gear 1 and 2, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that, because that was not on the back of the box or anything, so I didn't know like if I would need subsistence to play those. But nope, they have them, and not only do they have them, but they I forgot if this was in Metal Gear Solid 3 as well, the original, but at least for the HD, Snake is in his sneaking suit instead of like Kyle Reese suit in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't think I ever noticed.
Yeah, on NES you're in like your green uniform, but in the new version you're in Metal Gear Solid Snake outfit.
Nice.
Some exciting stuff there coming out for the PS5. So everybody's really looking forward to it. Also it will ship with an SSD hard drive, which is another big thing.
Nice.
So you won't have to upgrade to an SSD hard drive. It will come equipped with one. I imagine just like all launch consoles, you probably won't be able to buy one with a size big enough that you would be satisfied with it.
But I mean, like, whatever they release it like, anything is better than the Wii U with fucking 8 gigs.
Oh, that was terrible.
I want to play Fatal Frame 5. Oh, wait, I literally can't on the one
Switch,
system it was designed for.
Cool. The Switch also really needed extra memory as well. With an extra micro SD.
Well, the good news is that's really easy to do.
Yeah, and it supports, I think, basically anything you would want, which is pretty good. And it's very easy to install, and it uses a generic format. So
yeah, that is so good. I was so happy to hear that.
Yeah. So I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, these are also I don't know if all of this is super confirmed, but this is the stuff that's been leaking out lately, and it's a lot of it's from like very reputable sources. I think almost all of this was from Forbes, which is very almost always very accurate. So seems pretty cool. I'm excited for the system, but as always, it's all about the games. A system is nothing without good software.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to hear for the killer app, as it were. So they'll most likely, if you ask me, they'll probably put out an extended version of Spider-Man is what I'm expecting, because
I'm expecting Last of Us 2.
Oh yeah. Oh well, Last of Us 2 is already coming out.
PS4, but yeah.
Yeah. There'll probably be a PS5 version of that, or at least be backwards compatible. Okay. Well, we can move on to some other stuff. So, some other console news. Did you guys hear about the Atari VCS shenanigans going on here?
I don't even know what that is.
So Atari said that they were going to come out with a new console system that would be something that you would hook up to the internet, and it would have like more casual games on it, like couch games and stuff like that. You know, couch co-op games.
Stuff like I mean, this is obviously made by somebody else, but stuff like Nidhogg. It just looks like an Atari game.
Exactly. Towerfall, shit like that. You know.
Okay.
But apparently, they for a very long time haven't released any actual details on it, so you know that's always a problem. You know, they didn't show what kind of capabilities the system was going to have, who was making games for it, what kind of network it was running on, what kind of controllers even.
And that's why you don't announce stuff until you have shit to announce. Like, why do people do this?
I think it's mostly to get investors interested.
Well, you gotta have something. Even on Kickstarter, you can't just say, "I have an idea, give me money." That doesn't work.
Well, this is Atari you're thinking about.
The people who haven't made a system in like 30 years. Okay.
Well, what I'm trying to say is they're not even those people. Like, the people that own Atari right now are people you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Like they have no interest in the brand as like you know, a celebration of their past accomplishments or anything like that.
You know what their killer app would have been? Tempest 5000.
Well, they came out with Tempest 4000 like only a little while ago, and that was
PS4.
That was basically a blackmail game. I don't know if you know the whole story behind that, but
no, I had no idea. I was just like, oh shit, there's actually another Tempest game. Like what?
So Jeff Mintner made Tempest 2000 back in the day on the Jaguar, and he made Space Giraffe and also TXK, which were all Tempest like lineage games. You know, they were basically like Tempest but with a twist.
Yeah.
Well, TXK was so close to fucking Tempest that this is a Vita game, Vita download-only game, that they were basically like, no, cease and desist. Yeah. You can't release this on any other console, that kind of thing. And so it only came out on Vita. So basically, he was forced to make Tempest 4000 as a like mea culpa, you know, for TXK, which is basically, you know, also TXK is basically, you know, like referencing Tempest in its name even. So yeah, so basically Tempest 4000 is like an updated port of that game that he was forced to make.
Well,
yeah. So
what a strange story.
Yeah, very strange. But so the VCS apparently had its main architect quit.
Oh, okay.
Citing that he hasn't been paid in over 6 months.
Hasn't Atari done stuff like this before? Just bad history of paying people?
They're a bunch of jackasses. This company is bad news. What
always amazes me is that this shit goes on like, I would be flipping a shit if I didn't get paid in 1 month. Like, you're supposed to get paid every, like, depending how your schedule works.
I would have quit
maybe
after
2 weeks. Like, 6 months? Are you fucking kidding me? This guy put up with this for 5 months and 3 weeks? Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I would have quit after 2 paychecks. Like,
yeah,
seriously.
Like 5 months go by. I'm pretty mad. 5 months and 2 weeks. I swear to God, like 6 months. That's it. Like, he's zero income for that long length of time. I can't believe he didn't bust some heads.
And this is the main guy. This isn't just like somebody helping. Like, this is the guy designing their entire system.
Well, I'm trying to think, like, what like, what circumstances would make it that you would keep working that long before
Well, that's what
realizing
I'm
when?
asking. Like 6 months, it's like, all right, today's the day. Like I cannot believe he didn't jump on this shit 5 months ago.
I'm under the impression that like maybe he wasn't even like maybe it was like a part-time gig for him, and maybe he wasn't even working on it because they hadn't been paying him, and so he
Oh.
like
Yeah,
officially
that's what
quit
I'm
it.
thinking. Like, the guy can't
Yeah,
have been like working consistently 6 months and
Yeah,
then
because that's,
suddenly.
that's ludicrous. Yeah.
that's ridiculous. Yeah, so he hasn't. So he's officially quit and made it public. Apparently, Atari is claiming that that's false. But why would you come out and say you haven't been paid in 6 months unless that's exactly
Yeah, for
what
no
happened?
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no good reason to come out and say that other than if it actually happened. Yeah, no, I don't believe anything Atari says because they're a piece of shit company. And they're like, I'm not into like corporate consolidation. Like I don't like it when you have fewer choices and all that shit. But if they got bought out by a bigger company that would like treat their properties much better, I would be very happy.
I'll be happy if they get bought by somebody who treats their fucking employees much better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, please just get these projects away from these people. So
Yeah.
really sucks. But in other news, this is actually, I'm okay with this. So this is kind of a happy disappointment, if there is such a thing. So Doom Eternal was delayed until March 2020. And I am happy with this because I would much rather have a refined, really good product. This is a game that isn't in development hell or anything. There's a lot of hype surrounding this, and there's a lot of progress and a lot to show. A lot of people have been shown stuff from this game. It's highly anticipated, but they want to make sure that it's perfect on release.
Well,
I
yeah,
am
like
more than
nobody
happy
wants
with
a
that.
shitty first 2 weeks of like a broken fucking game, and then it's good now, and the hype's already gone.
Yeah.
Exactly, and Bethesda, to their point, has botched a lot of stuff like that lately. So,
Oh, have they?
Oh, really?
they have an entire history of it. So I'm actually very happy that they're doing this.
Like, isn't Doom like, and I guess Wolfenstein like the only stuff that they haven't just royally fucked up like all the time?
I mean, they also have the those horror games that were pretty good. The
Bethesda
what were
did
they
horror.
Sure did. The Evil Within 1 and 2. Yeah.
Oh, that was Bethesda. I didn't realize that.
Sure was.
Like the only example I could think of was Call of Cthulhu, and even that's spotty.
No. Apparently those games are very good, and I haven't had a chance. Especially the second one is apparently like a masterpiece
Yeah, I do
that
want to look
nobody
into
played.
those.
But yeah, I'm very much okay with this, and they also made a surprise announcement that Doom 64 will be multi-platform and given as a pre-order bonus for all of the versions of the game.
Yeah, that's kind of amusing.
That's really cool because
I'm
previously
gonna...
it was a Switch exclusive, is how it was announced.
Yes.
So
I'm still gonna wait till Doom Eternal is like $20 and just pay for Doom 64.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna buy it right away just because I loved it so much, and I'm gonna get on that hype train right away. But I'm not gonna regret it. I'm gonna love it. That's one of the very few games where I'm like, I have to play this right now. Because Doom 2016 is probably in my top 10 games of all time. It's really, really fucking good.
I can't even think of the last time I like had to get on a game on day one. I mean, like I've pre-ordered collector's editions that kind of fudges the rules.
Sure.
But like, I'm getting this game now. Like, Deus Ex Human Revolution, maybe.
The last time that I was like, I need to buy this now because I need to play it now or else, like, was Metal Gear Solid 5. That was the last time. And now Death Stranding too, because I really want, I don't want anything spoiled for me with that game.
That is so weird. I don't think I've ever had an experience in my life where I bought something on day one.
I do it a lot.
My first experience, I think, was Soul Calibur 2. There was also Resident Evil 4 and Zelda Twilight Princess. But, like, I don't think I've done it at all in the current console generation. And, like I said, Deus Ex Human Revolution, I did that for the PS3 generation.
How about all the Yakuza games? You buy those right away.
I guess
but like it's for like they have like limited edition things or like steel books. And then I realized later that that's the only edition after all. I'm like, oh.
Okay, I think for me it's because you know how people always have that one friend that has the console and the games.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That wasn't me. I was the guy going to those guys.
Yeah, I was the guy going to those guys in, like, middle school, high school. I was friends with, like, the rich kid who had a Sega Genesis and a Super Nintendo. Like,
oh, dude, yeah. That was always awesome.
Yeah. See, I had a job ever since I was in 5th grade, so I was the one that always had the new games because I bought them. But I earned them, you know. It wasn't like anybody bought them for me.
I think I started buying games for myself, like, GameCube era. N64 is a maybe.
I think it was kind of the same for me, too.
The first game that I ever bought with my own money was Gunstar Heroes on the Genesis.
I've definitely bought games with my own money before, but that didn't really become, like, a regular thing. Like, I wasn't always going, Mom, drive me to the store so I can buy a game. Like, I wasn't really like that. Like, if I was there, then maybe. If we're in the mall and, like, there's a game store. But, like, for me, I think it was really, like, when I got a car, so it's like, oh, I can just go get them now.
Oh, man, I'm
do whatever I want now.
Yeah.
That's always cool when you're like, fuck it, I'll just do it myself because I can now.
Yeah, Mom cannot, never mind.
And I choose to go home.
Yeah.
Goddamn right.
You don't have to stop.
Getting me a video game, going home.
You don't have to stop to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. You want to stop to go clothes shopping? Nope, I don't have to anymore.
I think the first... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, I typically buy games that I believe I may have trouble later finding.
Well, that I have done. Like Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise, I got on that immediately because I thought it was going to be like a weird esoteric game. Again, I kind of, like, not fully, but I was kind of wrong. There's always like one copy.
Sure.
But like...
no regrets,
it was a
really.
fair guess.
Yeah. Well, there's also I also almost always buy Nintendo games right away because I know they never really go down in price anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I got Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition on clearance for like $40. Like, oh, fuck you.
Wow.
Yeah. It doesn't happen often.
That's clearance. Get the fuck out of here.
And a lot of times with Nintendo games, they only have one printing. And especially if a game gets popular throughout the course of its life, you end up never seeing it ever again. Like the older Fire Emblem games, for instance, are always really hard to find.
GameCube and Wii are pretty rough.
The Wii one, yeah.
The funny thing is, those are the only Fire Emblem games I really have any kind of attachment to, because my first exposure to Fire Emblem, I saw our friend Luminaire play a little bit of one of the GBA ones, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool, but like, I got to really watch him play stuff in college, because now we're living with each other, so I could just hang out, watch him play Fire Emblem, and it was the GameCube one. So eventually I was like, I like the GameCube one, and like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, more on that coming up, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I'm excited for Doom Eternal, and I can't wait to play Doom 64 again. So, I have already pre-ordered Doom Eternal on PC. So, because Doom needs to be played on PC. So
yeah, that's I feel the same way. Like FPSs are playable on console, but like Doom though.
Yeah, that's really. That's really the one that I that and point and click adventures I'm all about on the PC here.
The funny thing is I'm actually kind of at a disadvantage playing Doom on PC because like I would actually probably benefit more playing it on a console because I play with the left-handed mouse and it's clunky to play that way. But I made it work for Doom 2016. I could make it work for Eternal.
Gotcha. Well, moving on from that, PS4 Remote Play for Android just released, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you can do Remote Play on an Android device.
What is Remote Play?
So basically, you could stream if you are in like a Wi-Fi region and your system is hooked up at Wi-Fi at home. You can stream from your system wherever you are and play it with touch controls. You can already do it with the Vita actually, which is pretty cool. But you could do it with an Android device now, which is pretty neat.
That's cool.
I think it supports controllers as well if you don't want to deal with a touch interface. So let's say if you have like a tablet or another Android device that you would be carrying with you, like a phone or a phablet. I hate to call them that, but I think that's the only good term for them. The things that are halfway in between a phone and a tablet.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's pretty cool. I recommend it for things like visual novels and RPGs, not so much for a game that requires precise inputs. Fighting games, not so much. Shmups, no. First-person shooters, no. I wouldn't play any of those kinds of things. But a visual novel, if you wanted to do Shibuya Scramble, on your
it is
on your
ridiculous how good that
tablet,
game is.
that would be perfect. If you want to do Steins Gate on your tablet, even something like like Dragon Quest.
Well, yeah, like
11.
you could get away with RPGs if they're like turn-based, where you can sit and think for a while.
I don't know. I disagree. I've seen some games that I never thought would work on like a touch screen, like a phone or something like that. But some games really pull it off, and I'm pretty sure with fighting games you could do it with a touchpad. I believe it would work well.
Well, my issue is not so much the touch screen because you can get around that, but
lag.
It's the lag. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I see.
It's slight lag. It has slight lag. It's maybe some people could put up with it. I could not.
I totally understand now.
Games with precise inputs are not going to be the best. But other slower paced stuff are perfect for that. So I'm sure you could even watch like movies and stuff if you have those downloaded to your system. So that'll work too.
Oh, we could watch Phantasm 5 again. Ravager.
Let's not. It's the only Phantasm movie I don't like was the recent one. All the rest of them are good.
Although I will admit, even though it's the worst movie, it has the best boy in the entire series.
It has moments. I'm not going to totally crash. And
it's still the same actors, which I couldn't believe.
My problem with it is that the ending is just like, okay. I
didn't mind the ending so much, even though they're not going to make a sequel. For me, it was just like, what is real and what is not. I don't know what's happening at any given point in the movie.
Exactly. Well, moving on from that, we don't want to devolve into Phantasm. Analogue, the company that makes the Analogue NT, the Super NT, and the Analogue SG. These are the FPGA-based classic consoles that are also HD. Basically, the best way to play a Genesis or Super Nintendo game around. They have teased an announcement for the 16th, which will be tomorrow by today's release date. People are speculating that it's going to be a Game Boy related device.
That'd be
if
cool.
So, I think it's cool, but I also don't care.
Well, it depends what kind of Game Boy it is, because if it's like the Game Boy Player thing, then I'll opt for that over the GameCube.
Well, we have a lot of options now.
That's true.
So the Game Boy Player, coupled with a GameCube with HDMI out right now, is a really great option. If you have the Game Boy interface,
that's true. And I actually
do have that.
But yeah, you need to go out and do a bunch of shopping for different things.
Yeah, that's true. There's also the consoleized GBA, the GBA consoleizer.
That's true.
That's out right now, which is native HDMI directly out of a GBA, which is cool. But people are getting the feeling by the fact that they are promoting this with a certain color palette that it's only going to be the OG Game Boy.
That's kind of weird because the GBA thing is also an OG Game Boy.
Yeah, so that kind of stinks because that's ignoring the fact that there are a lot of great Game Boy Color games, Game Boy Color only games.
Not to mention like Super Game Boy stuff. You could play with that too.
Super Game Boy and also Game Boy Advance. So it's ignoring the legacy of and a lot of those titles. And we already have ways of playing this. Like for instance, on their very own
Super NT. You could use a Super Game Boy.
You could use a Super Game Boy 1 or 2 on it.
But then again, though, that kind of raises the point, because that's so redundant, maybe it's almost a troll move. Like, you thought it was a Game Boy, but it's actually something else or whatever. Because otherwise, what are you doing?
It may... Here's the one thing that it may be that might be neat, but I still don't care. Is that it may be our first FPGA portable system. Like it might actually be portable.
Yeah, that I would not care about, but that's cool in principle.
Exactly. So who the hell knows? I was always kind of hoping that they would make a portable or at least kind of like a switchable version of their current consoles, because it would be really neat to take Super Nintendo on the go and have it be accurate. And so I could play all my games on my flash cart and play like Final Fantasy VI, for instance, or whatever on the go, even though probably it has some logistical issues. Like it needs to be big enough to hold the cartridge.
That's the thing. The cartridge itself is bigger than some systems now.
Yeah, exactly. So who the hell knows what this is going to be? But they're a good company that. They have some questionable like other stuff surrounding like their shipping and stuff like that, but I love their product quality.
Yeah.
So I can't really say anything about that. So really looking forward to hearing what they have to say at least. So moving on from that, we also have Steam Remote Play Together. Have you heard about this?
No, because I only use Steam when I have like no other option for digital.
So you and I might actually be able to use this pretty well, to do Let's Plays and things like that. So Remote Play Together is couch co-op, but over the internet.
Okay.
So any game that doesn't have an online mode, you could play over the internet with. Kind of like you could do with NES games and Super NES games on the Switch right now.
Okay.
Basically get into a lobby and play, couch games together online.
I think there was already a possibility with certain websites, right? But now it's going to be like an official product?
Well, this is going to be an official feature of Steam.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be for basically like anything that will work with it, I guess. So that's coming out. The beta for that is coming out on the 21st of October, which is pretty neat. Next item here, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which is fantastic, like chef's kiss of a game. I love that game. You played that, right, Lotus?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, you should definitely play it. It's really, really good.
I've seen some gameplay. Like it looks cool as hell. I just don't care about Far Cry, but it's like amazing to behold.
It's just something on its own,
Yeah.
And it's a small, bite-sized Far Cry game that is more there because of the entertaining value of everything that surrounds it in the game.
Yeah.
But apparently they're making this will be the third Blood Dragon related title.
Yeah, I was actually just gonna make a point about that. Like, I hope you've caught up on the lore by playing the sequel, Trials of the Blood Dragon, the motorcycle stunt game that's download only.
Yeah. But Ubisoft has partnered with Castlevania Netflix producer Adi Shankar for a new series based off of it called Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speechless right now.
Apparently not.
Hey, it's a figure of speech being speechless.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I always love I love Far Cry 3, and this was just like icing on the cake. It was just really, really good on its own. In fact, I recommend if you're gonna play any Far Cry game, it's this, because it's just so damn good on its own and it's bite-sized.
Yeah, and it does have a rockin' soundtrack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and great voice acting too.
Yes.
And it's very funny.
Like the good bad voice acting of the main character. His just like
Michael Biehn.
His just like dull delivery for everything because he's so badass. It's just pretty funny.
Speaking of Kyle Reese, that is Kyle Reese.
Nice.
This is the main character. So, yeah. So, I'm not a big. None of us are really big on this, but Fortnite just had a big thing happen in it. There is so apparently a black hole showed up, and that's all there is in the game right now. So people are wondering what the hell's going on. Apparently there are numbers showing up hinting at things. Numerologists are analyzing every bit to try to find out what's going to happen. So basically you can't play Fortnite right now. You can only just basically look at that black hole.
That's so bizarre.
They're basically teasing a major update. A lot of people are speculating that this is the integration of the Switch version coming out. So,
oh, cool! Finally, a version that doesn't play as well, but it's portable.
Yay!
Well, Fortnite is also on cell phones, so like, come on.
I know, but just the Switch is just like the system that plays inferior versions of everything that's on it, but it's portable.
Not everything, but
well, except for the stuff that was specifically designed for it.
Like Dragon Quest is the definitive version, but
well, that's a different version though. It's like S.
Well, yeah, but it has added content and added music, and it doesn't play worse. So
all right, fair enough.
Yeah, it's not always default the worst. It just sometimes is that way. So, yeah, I mean, this is big for. I mean, this is a huge game. It's the most played game right now. I think it's the most profitable game of all time at this point.
I mean, not surprising.
You'd probably be right
because it's free. Like anybody can get in on it.
Yeah, I think it's supplanted Minecraft as like on being on more devices. I think something like that. But that just makes sense because it's free.
Well, yeah, with Minecraft you would have to you
have to buy it,
like pay like $30-$40, yeah, for the console version or whatever.
Yeah, but I guess we'll find out what's going on with that. But I would expect that since like time is money with a game like this, because it's all microtransactions and stuff, that this black hole thing won't last very long. Maybe not more than a week.
And maybe as we're speaking right now, it's already over.
Yeah, exactly.
There's amazing breaking news, and we're just oblivious.
Yeah, we're just here like, yeah, cool.
Like next week, oh wow, that was a thing that happened. Okay, well.
Remember the black hole in Fortnite? No. Okay.
What's a Fortnite?
What's Fortnite? Yeah. It's well, you say
nights.
it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I just got it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the name comes from. I don't. Also for making a fort.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, I'm not a native English speaker, so.
Well, Fortnite is even obscure by like modern
that's
English
like
speakers.
1800s. Yeah. I'll see you in a Fortnite. Like whatever.
The video game? No, you idiot.
No, Fortnite is like obscure even by our own standards.
Yeah, the people who legitimately say Fortnite and mean it are the kind of people who measure things in hogsheads. Like anybody gives a shit. It's just over yonder.
I'm 5 stone.
Yeah, it's yay high. 5 stone. Yeah, stone. I think isn't stone still a thing? Just never in America
in
ever.
England.
Like not in the U.S. I'd imagine.
Yeah,
in England and nowhere else. Okay, this is actually a pretty big surprise. So the game Moon, which was a cult hit RPG game, kind of referred to as the anti-RPG for the PS1, many moons ago by the makers of Tulip.
God, that's bizarre.
I know, right?
Remember Tulip? No,
I do.
Whatever. Keep talking about Moon.
Somehow I do, though.
But they made a bunch of other like off-kilter games, and Captain Rainbow is one of them, I believe.
Oh, that was the Wii game that never got localized, but it's a fan translation, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So this game is is one of those games that people have always wished there was a fan translation of, and it never came out. Well, the current rights holders, who are still making new games, by the way. There's, I think it's called Onion Games or something like that. They actually just revealed that Moon is the best-selling game on the Switch in Japan currently.
Wait, what? What?
Which is really neat.
MOON, that spells bestseller.
Really?
But yeah. Apparently, it's beating out even Dragon Quest XI.
That's insane.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing beats Dragon Quest in Japan. Not even Smash.
Well, keep in mind, Dragon Quest is also a port of a year-old game.
That's a good point.
And it's been out for a bit. So, but that's still impressive. Especially for the best version of the game by everybody else's standards. So this game is confirmed coming to the West in English. Nice. I am very excited for it. This is one of Tom Lipschultz's favorite games, formerly of Xseed Games. So
does this make the second PS1 game of this console generation to get like unofficial localization like this and like Silver Case?
Yeah,
I know it's for Switch, not PS4, but
I'm trying to think of other stuff that never got an official release.
The only thing I can think of, which is not PS1, is Assault Suit Lanos, which was like a Mega Drive game.
Whoa, yeah.
That was weird, by the way. Want to pay $20 for one Mega Drive game? Like, not really.
Yeah. Well, this generation has been awesome, especially on the Switch in particular, with retro revivals.
The Switch's virtual library is fucking crazy.
We've gotten so many things that I've been wishing and hoping for ever since I knew about them.
You know what? Sorry,
it's just been amazing. I'm just expounding upon that. You could say what you need.
Man, I'm sorry I keep interrupting, but
no.
I was thinking about the retro scene, and I think, at least for me, one of the reasons retro games are very appealing is like, unlike games nowadays, retro games are set. You get the product, it's over. You don't get an update, you don't get a change, you don't get suddenly you have to pay for the game, or suddenly the game isn't free anymore, or suddenly... Because remember things that would happen with like the Star Wars game online, they would change platforms or publishers, and then like you didn't even have the same starting races anymore. It'd be like, what the...
sure.
Like stuff like that. And
Star Wars Galaxies was a mess like that.
That really drains people. They hate that. Everybody hates that. So,
especially if you have time and emotional investment and all that stuff.
And like with the snap of a finger, your game could just be over. Especially with games online, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, luckily we've been getting all kinds of things. I mean, we had Kid Dracula was officially translated.
Is ridiculous.
Kid Dracula.
Kid Dracula was an old NES or Famicom game that we just never got. We got it on original Game Boy, like a version of it. But we never got the actual NES game until like 2018 or something. It's insane.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like a parody Castlevania game.
Okay.
It's like a goofy Castlevania game spin-off.
Yeah, but, if you've ever heard of Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti, it's kind of like that. It's just like a silly version of a not really just like a dark gritty game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen that. I think I know what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, we even got like the upgrade to Phantasy Star that everybody's always wanted, with a map system.
Yay! Finally.
Yeah.
Geez, we've gotten so many like I've been getting so spoiled. I mean, like, Trials of Mana got its official translation.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Seiken Densetsu 3 got an official translation for the first time.
So many
just,
things
like,
that are like
tons of
decades
stuff.
old. Yeah.
That's great.
Tons
That's
of
really
stuff.
great, honestly.
And we're talking Switch. Like, even Corpse Party Blood Drive is finally coming out. It's not exactly retro, but it's like, oh, there we go.
Ah, sweet.
Accurate ports of the original Darius games, that are stretched across multiple screens.
Yeah. Arcade Punch-Out.
Yeah, Arcade Punch-Out. Jeez, yeah.
Which has never been ported ever.
Donkey Kong 3, I might add.
Yeah, like actual arcade Donkey Kong 3, not NES Donkey Kong 3.
That was the one where you'd like have to kill the insects or something, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You're shooting Donkey Kong like vertically upward to
that's the one.
Descending down. Yeah.
It's also kind of an inside joke because it also happens to be, oddly enough, my favorite arcade game of all time. So,
nice.
But I realize that it's nobody else's favorite arcade game. So
even more than Frenzy, huh?
It's up there. Frenzy's really fucking good. But Donkey Kong 3 just... I feel like the right people haven't played it. People that are fans of Donkey Kong 1 and Donkey Kong Jr., the platforming style, they dismiss it because it is a completely different type of game.
Well, yeah, it's like Zelda 2. Like, this isn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's a shmup and time management game. So, like, you're basically, like spinning the plates on the straws. You know what I mean? You're defending all of your flowers and also trying to not die and also trying to push Donkey Kong up and also make sure that he doesn't fall all the way down. Like, you're managing all these different spinning plates while also playing a shmup game. And I don't think the right people have played it. Like, it plays kind of similarly to it's similar concept to Missile Command.
I can kind of see that.
But with a platforming element. So it's an unusual game, but I love it because I've gotten into high level play of it. So I genuinely really love it, and I don't think enough people have played it. And to get an arcade perfect port of it was something that I never ever hoped to get. And here it is. And they've also released all kinds of stuff like Skyscraper, like a game that there's one cabinet of.
I don't know what that is.
All kinds of stuff is like that. The Capcom Beat 'em Up collection has Eco Fighters on it, or not Eco Fighters. Whatever. Battle Circuit. Battle Circuit is I think the final Beat 'em Up. I would never expect to see a port of that.
It's cool when things like that happen.
Yeah, just like insane stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, like the SNK collection had also all kinds of really cool stuff on it too. So yeah. I just this generation is stupid for retro geeks like me. It's just really
and me
awesome.
too.
Yeah. So let's see here. I did want to mention this because I kind of hinted at it before, but Lotus, you'll like this. The GameCube Serial Serial Port SD Adapter is being released with a new Swiss update. So, what does all of this mean? So, Swiss is a suite, a program suite that basically works to get the best performance out of your GameCube games, and also the GBA interface is also a part of it. So it's there to make the experience of playing the Game Boy Player games much better than its official disc. And the way that you traditionally did this was by using a action replay disc along with an SD card adapter to go into your memory card slot. I
have that
with the GameCube. Well, the big problem with that is the action replay only recognizes cards up to 2 gigabytes. It doesn't go any higher than that. So you purposely have to buy a small card, a small
Yeah, I
size
had to
card.
go looking online for one of those.
And it's very difficult these days. It's very difficult to find small ones, like that one's that small. So theoretically, you could actually play like GameCube games off of that card if they could fit on the 2 gig card.
Oh, I see.
But what's cool about this is they apparently Citrus 3000 PSI, who's the guy who worked on the DC Dreamcast HDMI project, he came out with a serial port SD adapter that you can just put into the serial port that nothing uses on the bottom of the GameCube.
Now, I forgot this. It's been a while, but do all GameCubes have a serial port?
Except for the newest ones. Except for the ones that... No. I think even those have serial ports because every GameCube can use the Game Boy player, and that uses the other port.
Oh, I gotcha. Because I was going to say, I remember hearing that the original like blue launches had something that later ones didn't, but I forgot what it was.
So the last edition of the GameCube does not have the digital
that's what
port,
it was.
That's the digital video port in the back.
Okay.
But most people that have a GameCube have that, have the one that does have it. So this is really cool because you can basically use that as an optical drive emulator now with this new adapter. So it's pretty cool. Like you can get an entire library of GameCube games.
Sweet.
Or play a fan translated game that you haven't been able to play, like Giftpia by the makers of Tulip and Moon.
But no, that actually is pretty exciting though, because like fan translations of GameCube games, like
they're starting to come out.
What do you do? Like
yeah.
Like with the PS1
exactly.
and the PS2, you could maybe use like swap magic or something, but like GameCube though,
yeah.
My suggestion would be to use a Wii, a modded Wii to do it. But
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, my suggestion would be that, or just use Dolphin, the emulator.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It's one of the best emulators we have.
Which is surprising when you think about it.
Oh yeah, I mean we still don't have very good N64 emulators.
Yeah,
I mean...
but the GameCube, sure, it works.
By the way, have a great GameCube and Wii one.
You've kind of reminded me. Speaking of good emulators, I haven't tried this in like 5 years or something. The PS2 emulator, like PC SX2 or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
Like I tried it many years ago, and I don't know if it was just because the emulator was older at the time, or if my computer wasn't great at the time, or what. I had tried running like Siren 2, because how else am I going to play that game? And it was like the frame rate was terrible. I was like, I don't know. But actually recently, this was pretty exciting. Somebody on Twitter, like Ratiocinator, had somehow gotten a hold of Silent Hill 2 prototype, like version 0.1. Yeah, and they released it like on a wiki page. So I tried burning it to a disc and playing it on the PS2, which should work, but I don't know if I had a bad burn or was using bad discs or what. But like theoretically it could work, but I just had like a shitty time with it. So I tried using it on the emulator and it worked great, which is pretty fantastic. But there's a prototype version of Silent Hill 2 available, and there are like little differences between it and the final product.
I love that. Yeah.
Like if you run into walls, you kind of go like and like brace yourself against it,
which is funny.
Which is, well, normally it's restricted to hard mode, but it was on normal mode in the prototype. The loading screen is slightly different. Enemies going like when you hit them, that sound isn't in there yet. When you first pick up the radio, you get garbled subtitles from Mary, and one of the subtitles was not garbled, which is garbled in the final release, which is like an insane spoiler.
Yeah.
So it's like probably a good thing they changed that later. So it's just kind of cool to see stuff like that. Absolutely.
Well, moving on. There's also in other news on fan translations, Sakura Wars, or Sakura Taisen, if you will, the original one for Sega Saturn is finally getting a fan translation.
Nice.
and it's entering testing, so very near complete. So that's great. All of the editing and programming are done. They're just editing now, or testing, which is good. Just finding bugs and things like that. So that's really cool. We only have one of these games in English, and that is Sakura
the
Wars
PS2
4.
Wii one, right?
Yes, correct.
What was that one called?
Sakura Wars 4, I think.
I don't remember seeing the number. It was like something with love, farewell my love, or was that?
Yeah, that's it. And it's like the one that takes place in the Wild West. It's like the only. Yeah, because all of the rest of them take place in like Edo era Japan, but I think in that one the characters like make it over to America during the same time period. So
okay.
Pretty cool stuff, especially for Sega fans and things like that. That was a big Sega franchise that everybody used to love, for Sega Saturn fans back in the day. So especially if you were in Japan, that was a popular series. So it's really cool. Here's another quick one. We've been spoiled on Corpse Party lately.
Oh my, yeah! I never thought we were gonna get Sachiko's birthday bash, but we did. But
yeah,
now there's another announcement. Like
Blood Drive on the Switch, Jesus,
and on PC, yeah. So and apparently it's like it'll probably run better, and I think a couple of the little translation things have been tweaked.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, probably the loading times are better too.
I mean, I don't know what the loading times are, but they have to be better. Like it was not very good for the Vita.
Well, Corpse Party 2, the actual sequel that everybody's been waiting for. It's been a long time coming.
I don't think it's a sequel. I know it's called Corpse Party 2.
Yeah,
like duh, but like I don't think like the main character is Ayumi, so like I guess it's the same character, but it's not part of the Heavenly Host arc. So maybe it's a sequel and then it's a whole other story, but it's not like what happens right after Blood Drive. I think it's just a different thing.
So maybe it's kind of like how Enemy Zero and D are related, like the same character but in a different situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Like we know very little. Like as far like we've like for years, I think we were aware that Corpse Party 2 was going to be some episodic release and like only episode 1 was ever finished or whatever. I don't know what the hell's going on with that game, but apparently we're finally getting something.
Yeah, so we're getting it on the 23rd.
I think we knew that we were going to get it God knows when, but now we actually have a date. That's incredible.
Yeah, really cool stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Moving on. Because I want to get through everything before we have to wrap up here. Ninja Saviors, which is a game we've been talking about for a long time, is finally getting its Western release on the 15th, which it would be today.
Yeah, that badass, incredibly expensive Super Nintendo game has a better version coming out now. It's kind of like Wild Guns, like that badass, incredibly expensive Super Nintendo game, but now there's a better, easily affordable version.
Another one of those, I didn't ever expect that to happen.
Yeah, remember that game?
Damn, this is
Not
awesome.
Really? Yeah. The thing with Wild Guns is like, you've never heard of it, but if you ever saw it, it's like Wild West with robots. Like, oh shit! So
it
like
was
Ninja
awesome.
Saviors,
it plays like Cabal.
It was really awesome.
Yeah, so like Ninja Saviors, maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. A beat 'em up where you're ninja robots. Oh shit! Like by coincidence, they're also both like. Bet you didn't know there were robots in this game kind of game.
Also, the original is available in its in its 3-screen original glory on the Switch as well.
That's insane. And by the way, just like Wild Guns, the new Ninja Saviors is coming with more playable characters. I think Wild Guns went from 2 to 4. Ninja Saviors going from like I think 3 to 4.
Yeah. It's going to 5 characters. I think it has 5 characters.
God damn, all right.
That is sweet.
And apparently everybody who's already played it loves it. It's worth your time. So it's like the Super Nintendo game, but even better, and it's a sequel to a really cool Taito game that was unusual and had a multi-monitor setup. Really cool stuff, kind of like Darius. Speaking of Arcade Archives releases, A Legend of Kage actually came out on Switch last week.
Finally, now I could finally get context for Revenge of the Ninja.
I meant Legend of Kage.
Yeah, obviously Legend of Kage. Kage is the playable character in Virtua Fighter. The Ninja Kage.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat.
No, Mortal Kombat's Johnny Kage.
I swear I believed Virtual Fighter was like ripping Mortal Kombat off when I was a kid.
Oh, here's a fun fact, by the way. In the Yakuza games, through Yakuza, like, geez, it was either 5 or maybe even Kiwami 1. I think maybe through 5, there was this informant who had all this whole underground network and everything, but he worked like an above ground job that was pretty innocuous, and he was always called Kage, which makes sense because Kage means shadow.
Yeah.
But it turns out that was really not supposed to be a thing. Like, he's just known as the florist. So, like, and there's no way that was a mistranslation. Maybe they just didn't think it sounded cool enough or whatever when they first localized it. But starting in way too late, like Yakuza 5 or Kiwami 1, like on fucking PS4, they finally just started calling him the florist. There's like little mistakes like that very recently got fixed. Like Kiryu's orphanage was always called the Morning Glory, even though, or no, it was always called the Sunflower Orphanage, even though that's where he was raised in his own orphanage.
Whoops.
Should not be called that. So it was the Morning Glory. They changed that later too. Like little weird things like that.
I never caught that.
Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to also clarify on why last week I worked on the show notes while you did the show last week.
Yeah.
Karate Champ got released on the Switch as well.
Oh yeah,
Arcade Archives.
yeah.
Wait a minute.
So
Karate Champ, really?
Yep, the greatest game ever made, except for maybe Urban Champion.
Okay.
I actually like Karate Champ better than those games, but that's besides the point. But one of the things that I wanted to say that is significant about that is it is a Data East game, and Data East
gets points for that.
What?
It gets points for that.
It does, but the reason why I bring it up is that Data East games have been released under the Johnny Turbo label on the Switch up until that point. So remember I said that the Johnny Turbo Data East games were put on sale all of a sudden, and it was really kind of weird. I think that maybe they started going with the ACA label to release Data East games from now on. So there are plenty of Data East games that are not on the Switch yet, but the Johnny Turbo games were all like welcomed because they were very unusual games that had barely ever had any ports. But I hope they release more Data East games as time goes on. Maybe we could get Trio the Punch. That would be pretty cool.
Oh man, that game. It could
It's
happen.
bad,
it could happen.
But it's great.
Maybe we can get Chelnov.
Chelnov is actually I think that the Genesis version is way better than the original.
What was that called? Atomic Runner?
Atomic Runner, yeah. It's really, really good. But probably the biggest one is Boogie Wings or the Great Ragtime Show. It has two names.
Damn, Data East is fucking weird.
Yeah, but it has one of the coolest. It's one of the coolest shmups ever made, and it's never gotten a port. In it, you can actually be in a. You're by default. It's a shmup where you're in a biplane, but if you get hit, you can actually jump out of the plane and run around as a little dude. Kind of like in Atomic Runner, and cool. Like shoot things with a little pea shooter. But you can also hop into like enemy vehicles like while you're doing that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, like you're a little tiny dude like that will most shortly die very soon, but it's still really neat.
Yeah.
Last couple little things. Blade Runner, the PC game, which is runs concurrently with the original movie, is one of the big PC games that is incompatible with modern systems, and also hasn't had a re-release. It's like one of the classic games that everybody's been hoping and wishing for. Just got support through ScumVM, the basically you can't even just call it the Scum emulator anymore. Because they have so many games that are supported that aren't LucasArts games. It's basically the adventure game emulator at this point. They even support the Discworld games, except for the third one. Nice. So that's really cool. I have a copy of this game, and I've been itching to play it, and it's just impossible to play on modern systems. So very much looking forward to that. Also, Bloodstained physical goods have shipped if you were a Kickstarter member.
I'm still waiting for mine, but yeah, I got the notifications. That's cool.
I got mine. It has artwork by Ayami Kojima, which is pretty cool. The artist from Symphony of the Night, which is pretty neat. It comes with the soundtrack, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's in a really nice, like Blu-ray style case. Comes with a very nice poster, and also comes with some pins and a keychain, which is pretty neat. And this one was pretty cool. You brought this up, but I did read about it. Lotus, why don't you helm this last one?
I know very little actually about it, but remember how a couple weeks ago you had mentioned that KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, had released like a dating sim. So like Wendy's has released like a tabletop, like I guess Dungeons and Dragons style RPG. So
like a whole system. Like
that's a thing that exists. Just like was the case with KFC. Shut the fuck up, Wendy's. Just sell me your burgers. I'm not interested. But it's just amusing that it exists.
I disagree with
I'm
you.
interested.
Lotus, come on. Who doesn't want to date the Colonel? Come on.
Well, yeah, same thing with KFC. Shut the fuck up. Sell me your chicken. Like, don't try pretending you're cool. Like, you're not. You sell fast food, and that's all I wanted from you.
No
you know,
way.
It's like when you talk about politicians. Oh, but they're cool. I don't give a shit. Are they good at their job? KFC, make your chicken. Wendy's, make your burgers.
Okay, but in the case of the politicians, I only want them to be good at their job. But in the case of KFC making a video game or Wendy's making a tabletop, at least they're releasing a product.
They are releasing a product, but like it's trying to look cool. So like you could draw advertisements. Like look at this quirky dating sim. Shut the fuck up. You're not fooling me. You sell burgers and chicken.
Well, I don't see it that way. I really see it as like separate products. Like playing the KFC dating sim will not get me to go to the restaurants. I'll just be happy to play the game. It'll be the same.
Yeah, me too.
Well, yeah, with my personality, like I'll go to the restaurant if I want to, and I won't if I don't want to. Like it's not like playing the games will be like, oh well.
Oh, now I need to go.
Yeah, right now. But even so, it's like it's advertisement in quirky gamer form. I don't give a shit.
All right.
It's like Cool Spot. The only reason stuff like Cool Spot kind of gets a pass with me is because I didn't like grow up with it. I look back at it 25 years later. I'm like, oh wow. Or like Chex Quest. Like looking back on it now, I'm like, oh look at that. But like back then though, it's like I get at least with Chex Quest, you already had to buy Chex to get it.
Well, I should introduce you to the Mr. Pibb first-person game. One of these days.
I don't even know what that is.
How about some Chester Cheetahs game? That would be fun.
But I don't know what Mr. Pibb is.
Oh, Mr. Pibb is Coke's version of Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
I love it.
Oh, you love it? Never mind then. I didn't say anything.
Well, no, you don't have to agree with me.
But you're the host. I want to come back to the show.
With the most. Don't get it right or pay the price.
Wow, that's a reference.
All right. Well, it's called Feast of Legends. I think you can go to their website and get the. I think you could order it physically, but you could also just like download the rules for free if you want to set up your own game, which is pretty cool. So it's a Dungeons and Dragons style game, where you need a dungeon master and that kind of thing. So pretty cool stuff. I think it's funny. So
yeah, me too.
It is
I have
kind
no
of funny,
problem with it.
but like I'm not gonna play it.
Well, not until I make you.
Will it actually happen though? Because I'm curious now.
No.
Nope.
No.
Oh.
Nope. When Lotus doesn't want to do something, he really doesn't want to do it.
All right.
Like it probably would be funny, but like no, fuck you, KFC and Wendy's. Like just sell me your food.
That's very
We'll give you some
narrow-minded of
barbecue sauce on the side.
If it comes with barbecue sauce on
you.
the side, then I'll take the barbecue sauce.
Oh, come on.
Bah humbug, indeed.
Well,
Yeah.
that is
right.
one side of Lotus I don't think I've ever seen.
Oh,
I mean, how often
you
does this
haven't
come
hung
up? What are the
around
odds it came up 2 weeks in a row? That's like insane. Like both companies released completely different game. Like that's never gonna happen again. That's ridiculous.
Well, you'd be surprised.
I'm waiting for Arby's to do something funky.
I know
like
Arby's
that.
is like the well, KFC is the one I never thought would do it. Wendy's I can believe. Arby's I would expect. KFC was the surprise, and they were first.
You know,
Yeah,
now I
yeah.
want to see a five guys like brawler game or something.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's called Ninja Savior.
With just you just like put a five guy skin on it for no reason. I'd
Yeah.
love it.
Nice. All right. Well, that I think will wrap it up unless anybody else has anything else to bring up for this week.
I have something maybe for later.
Oh, you mean for Corcot?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we will wrap up unless you have anything else, Lotus.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well, that is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursdays on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the anatomy of pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, and not really on Battle.net anymore. I have a Destiny account, I guess. That's on Bungie.net, I think, now.
Alright, guys, remember, track them down on Bungie.net. Alright, so you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, the current exclusive one is Grim Fandango, the greatest point-and-click ever. Selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting involved with conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
On YouTube, you can find my stuff under Fakafon. My Twitter is the same, Lou Fakafon. I do my webcomic, which is called Kadrula-chan, so if you write kadrula.com, you'll find it. And I'm also available on Webtoons, same name. Oh yeah, and I have a Patreon. I keep forgetting to say that. The Patreon is also Kadrula.patreon and stuff.
Yeah, I am a Patreon subscriber of both of our co-hosts here, so I can definitely vouch for their content. So please definitely do join them. All right, well that is the show for this week. We will catch everybody for another episode of Corrective Consciousness, where we will talk about games marooned on older systems.
Until next time, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.